This month comes with a pretty big milestone as we've officially crossed the £10,000 mark. It's a pretty big step for the average investor, and it's great considering we only started this portfolio back in April. If you're new here, this is a DIY portfolio built up of 6 ETFs which give me global exposure. These ETFs give me broad exposure to both developed and emerging markets worldwide and closely mirror that of the FTSE All-World Index. This is globally diversified and it's great for building that long-term wealth. If you're interested in seeing exactly how and why I built this portfolio, then I did a full video covering this. I'll leave this in the description, but also link at the end of the video. So with all that said, let's dive into the portfolio and see how the last month has shaped up. Okay, so opening the InvestEngine app here, we'll tap into the Elevate All-World Fund, which is just what I titled this collection of ETFs to make things super simple. If you're interested in this portfolio, you can actually copy this, so we'll leave that in the description as well. Should you wish to have a look or copy this exact portfolio, you can do. So, top line figures, just over £11,000 in here now, which is great to see. So let's have a little look, firstly, at how the last week has shaped up, because it has been quite an interesting time within the market, not for the best reasons. We were on a really strong rally, sort of August, September, and even October, but November has proven to have been quite a challenge. So let's have a quick look here. So we can see here over the last week, our investment return has gone down by just over 2.5%, losing us almost £300, which, you know, for a beginner investor, this might seem worrying, and the volatility might seem a bit scary, but I'll cover a bit more on that shortly. It's really nothing to be too concerned about. So yeah, let's take a look here. Our net contributions here, if you look at the bottom, is still only £10,000. If we look at the month now, again, we're not shaping up too badly, but as you see there, sort of on the right-hand side, if I can try and highlight around that area, you can see there's a small figure there that said £11,463, which, you know, we're over £400 down from that all-time high. And at the time when I was checking the app and seeing this, I thought, this is great. You know, we're almost at that £1,500 worth of gains or profit. But yeah, since the market is having a small correction at the moment, lots of political changes, different things in the news which is impacting the market quite heavily, specifically the tech sector. So yeah, for the last month, we're actually down £105. You know, each update I've generally done this year so far, we've had greens every time, which has been great to report, but also I did feel it didn't give much of a honest kind of open look at what investing is really like. And look, this is the reality. Some months you are down slightly. The market is just like this, but it's kind of key to just calm nerves and just keep to the strategy, keep to the plan, and keep investing. So yeah, if I go to the Max tab, you can see here a nice overview of the entire journey so far. And the key bit here, which I say each time, that blue line there are my contributions. So I generally put £1,000 in each month. That's what I've got on a sort of direct debit or standing order, if you like, to go in at the start of every month, whether the market's priced high or low. It just keeps me consistent and keeps the money going in. And this is a really, this is known as dollar cost averaging, and it's a really good approach to take for building long-term wealth. So you can see here, blue are my contributions. For anyone new here who haven't watched the original video where I covered the plan, I put in £1,000 a month, which will take me up to obviously £12,000 for the tax year. But my plan along that journey is to then fill that gap of the other £8,000 to bring it up to 20, which is here in the UK is our ISA allowance essentially, and how much we can put into this account tax-free. So all of the gains and profits in this account are entirely tax-free. So, for heaven's sake, if you had £1 million in here, for example, which would be amazing, you could withdraw that £1 million straight into your debit account, and you wouldn't have to pay a single penny of tax. So it's one of the small benefits we have here in the UK. But yeah, back onto the graph. The blue line are my contributions and the green ones are now our total figure. So what's really nice to see here is that that gap between my contributions and also the gains is getting larger, which is exactly what we want to see. You know, we're at the start of this investing journey in this portfolio where majority of the amount going in is obviously my own contributions. Once we get into quite high numbers, that's when we'd probably start to see the interest or gains each month outweigh my own contributions, and that's when that snowball effect really starts to go. I don't believe we've had any no dividends this month. That was all October, which I covered in last month's video. Let's have a look at the actual composition of this portfolio. So we can see there at the top, around 67% of my portfolio is invested in the S&P 500, giving me that US exposure. And this is, you know, in line with what the FTSE All-World Index is roughly, you know, the percentage and the weighting is. So, yeah, to date, we've got almost 24% there, which is great. VERX, which is my developed Europe, so basically covering companies in Europe minus the UK, which I'll cover on in a minute. We've got another UK based ETF, so I didn't need the UK in that one. That's around 11% of this portfolio, and that's up 18.4%. 9% of this portfolio is the Vanguard FTSE Emerging Markets ETF, which is there, which we are up around 24%. The Amundi Prime Japan, so again, kind of speaks for itself, but the market over in Japan, around 6% of this portfolio, that's up almost 25% as well. The HSBC FTSE 100 ETF, that's up almost 22%, which is great. But really, you know, it's kind of really stood out this year that the developed Asian Pacific ETF minus Japan, that's VAPX, that one at the bottom there, that only makes up 3% of this portfolio, is up almost 32% since we started investing, which is unbelievable, and yeah, kind of frustrating that it's the smallest portion of this portfolio. But again, some markets will have, you know, fantastic years while others are quite steady or maybe even decline. And then, you know, next year or the next few months, this could completely switch and it might be another region. I'm not going to start changing all the percentages. These percentages are what I believe in for the long term. Maybe each year I will, you know, review these percentages to make sure they're still in line with that FTSE All-World Index. But for the time being, I'm really happy with this. You can see here that the ISA top-ups here, £1,000, you know, at the start of each month we've got them there. Did put an extra £1,000 back in September. So as I mentioned before, £12,000 takes me up to, you know, just that £1,000 each month, which will get me to the £12,000 before the end of the year. I have also dotted in an extra £3,000 in so far. So I guess by the end of the year, if I didn't add any additional bits in, I'd be up to £15,000. So between now and, you know, the sort of start of April, I need to find another £5,000, which, yeah, it's quite a lot of money, but I'm pretty keen to do so. I'm hoping to do this sort of early next year. Current plans are not too sure whether to just outright invest it as soon as the money goes in, or potentially wait for a bit of a correction, kind of like we're seeing now, which is a little bit frustrating. The market has, declined ever so slightly, and had I had some spare funds in this account, now is the time I'd be deploying that to, you know, buy these funds at, you know, at a bit of a discount. But yeah, for the time being, overall, really happy with this portfolio. I'd really like to see us get to, you know, that point where we're at the £20,000 mark. But hopefully by then we may be around the sort of £22,000, £23,000 mark, and hopefully that snowballing effect will start to carry on. So that wraps up this November update. Even with all the volatility and the recent decline, I'm still really positive about this, and we're still making really good progress so far. I think one of the key points here is, if you're ever in doubt or worried that month or that week, always take a zoom out, because when you look at the last 6 months, 12 months, even years, chances are you're probably making really good gains. I've been investing long enough to know that these pullbacks or dips are only temporary, and the key is just to stick to that plan of repetitive or dollar cost averaging and keep investing into the market. If you're investing yourself and you see these dips or pullbacks, I see these as a sale. the funds that you'd be buying anyway are now at a reduced cost. So instead of panicking and thinking, oh, the market's falling down, I need to stop investing, it really is the time that you probably need to be adding more, as hard as that may seem at the time. As always, I'll continue to do these updates month on month to give that full transparent view on how long-term investing can look, even in months like this where we are down slightly. If you've enjoyed following along so far, then do like this video and consider subscribing to the channel, because it really helps. Feel free to drop a comment below with any questions, or simply let me know how your own investments are going. Now, my next portfolio update is going to be quite a big one. I'm going to gather all the data from all my portfolios for the year of 2025 and do a full breakdown on exactly what my contributions have been and how much money I've made off the back of it. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.